Hello once again, witchy people. So, today once again I am not on camera. Trust me, you do not want to see the state of this one today. I will explain. A few days ago, a very old friend of mine, old as in years I've known her, not how old she was, but a very dear friend of mine, passed away, and it's hit me quite hard. She was not even 50 years of age, and that is the third friend in as many years that has passed away. So it did hit me hard. So, you know, we don't want a snot-infested, tear-filled pity party going on. So hence this, and I thought this would be a nice way to do a video anyway. So, incense. Now I make my own incense, and I do quite often powder it, and that's why my incense is quite expensive for quite a small amount, because it's powdered. And most people don't. However, there are some that I do make just as a loose incense. Now this is one for Samhain, and that one is just going to sit for a couple of days. And this is one that I'm making at the moment, which is my Yule loose incense. Now I don't think you should ever have incense without resins in it, and that's just a personal preference. I don't think that if you take resins out, I don't think it burns quite right. I think resins just add that, I don't know, it adds something. It helps it burn. I mean, you could add, oh, is it matcha powder? No, it's not matcha powder, it's something. And I have some downstairs, but I don't like to use it unless I'm making incense cones. So, and the other thing is, as I say, now it is the beginning of September, and you may have heard people tell you that you shouldn't keep incense for more than 3 months, that it loses its scent and blah blah blah. No, it doesn't. If you keep it in an airtight jar, keep it out of direct sunlight, and you know, leave it, to be honest, it improves with age to a certain degree. I think for good, if you're making it yourself like this, a good 3 or 4 years, and you will get an improvement of scent, because where the scent mixes together, it becomes much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Blended, really, sort of, because it kind of mashes in together. So Samhain incense. Now this one's quite easy. It's cinnamon, ground clove, and it is proper ground cloves. It's not whole cloves that I've bashed. It is proper ground clove that I actually buy from the supermarket. So it's about 2 parts cinnamon, and I do use real cinnamon sticks. So if you get the cinnamon that looks like lots and lots and lots and lots of layers all wrapped together, the chances are that's not real true cinnamon. Cinnamon actually looks like a piece of curved wood, not layers upon layers of fine wood, and it's quite hard to get done, but that's why I use it. Now, and the other thing is, a lot of people will do it by volume. I do it by weight, and it gives a completely different scent. So by weight, I use, it's about 10 grams for the Samhain. It's about 10 grams of cinnamon. Actually no, for this one I think this is about 20 grams of cinnamon, and you can see the cinnamon bark in it. So it's about 20 grams of cinnamon, 10 grams of ground clove. It's about 10 grams, give or take, of dragon's blood resin. Now if you're going to use resin, the best thing you can do is stick it in the freezer, you'll see this is, I don't know if you can see, but it's all, this is pine resin. This is going to go for the Christmas one, the Yule one, I should say, and it's been frozen for quite a while, and you can't really put it through an electric blender or anything like that. You really should use pestle and mortar to bash apart resins, and like I said, put them in the freezer first. So it's about 10 grams of dragon's blood resin, so quite a lot. Then it's the same 10 grams of hyssop, and that's the full, I use the full plant because I'm using it not for the scent, but I'm using it for what it represents. I then use about 10 grams of patchouli. Now patchouli is getting increasingly difficult to get hold of, and what I will say is 10 grams of patchouli is a lot. If you're doing it by weight, and this is where you get the whole different scenting, because it's a very light in weight flower plant material, so it will you will use a lot for 10 grams of patchouli. You then want about, between, according to how much you like, between 10 and 20 grams of rosemary, about 10 grams of sage, and then you want to put in some salt. Now I like rock salt, you could use sea salt, and then you can use the salt to help blend up, especially if you, and when you do resins, don't do this, do this, and I will apologise to noise, do this, okay, so, because you want to really bash a resin, and if you end up, if you keep on just twisting it like you use a pestle and mortar like this, all you're going to do quite often is get a sticky lot of resin. So that was the Samhain one. Now for the Yule incense, once again I do use a lot of cinnamon. I love cinnamon, so if you don't like cinnamon you will not like my recipes. Now I make this, and I not at the moment, but when these have been made they will be for sale in my store. I'm going to make some oils to go with them as well. That's like perfume oils, because I mean for the Samhain one it's got to be a dragon's blood based oil. I love the smell of dragon's blood. So as you can see I am getting there with this, but bay leaves take ages to, this is bay leaf, laurel leaf, bay leaf. So this is the Yule one. What I've got measured out in here is about 10 grams of mugwort, I think, and about 5 grams of mistletoe in there. Yeah, about that. So, and in here I've got 10 grams of juniper berries. I've got about 5 grams of pine needles. I've got about 5 grams of juniper leaf. About 5 grams of bay. What else is in there? There's about 5 grams of rosemary in here. There is about 5 grams of cinnamon stick, but there is also about 3 grams, no, about 2.5 grams, 2 to 2.5 grams of cinnamon powder. And I will be putting in some pine resin as well. I think that's everything. Juniper leaf, juniper berries, mug. Yep, that is everything. Now, the thing is, if you are making your own incense, loose incense like this, you may find that there are quite a few combinations that are quite strange, like for instance sage and cinnamon. Who would know that sage and cinnamon works well together? But it does. I think partly what you're using this for is the scent, and partly what you're using it for is the intention. So the other thing is, as I was saying before, it is very expensive. If you buy the scent and make your own powdered incense cones and such like that and use the scent, it's actually quite cheap. If you are using actual plant matter to make loose incense, it can work out to be very expensive, especially now when things are getting to be more and more expensive. And things like hyssop, you can buy hyssop, which I used in the Samhain one. You can buy hyssop leaf tea, because that is a lot cheaper than buying hyssop if you buy it from, you know, a specific incense store or a dried flower store. Buy tea, because it is just the herb anyway. You can also do that for lemon balm and lemongrass. And when you buy things like rosemary, sage, basil, if you can't grow those things in your garden, I mean, I tend to grow most of mine, which is why the rosemary looks so you get big pieces of rosemary in there. Buy it from wholesale from a food store. Like go to Lidl's or Aldi or anywhere else, we can buy those big packets, you know, the range. I don't know about American places, but those are English places, British places. And yeah, buy a big bag, because it will work out a lot cheaper. Juniper berries, for instance, are very expensive to buy unless you go to, and I don't like to, I'm not going to mention any names, but if you go to a herb section in your local supermarket, just buy juniper berries. The other thing that's expensive to buy is allspice berries. So just buy some ground allspice. And sometimes I will add ground allspice into my Yule mix, because it is delish. It just smells absolutely lovely. Now I tend to make more of the Samhain one than I do of the Yule one, because I have a lot of gifts around Yule and Christmas, which tend to be like smelly gifts, you know, like candles and incense, that sort of thing. So I don't make as much because it's nice to use things that people have bought you. And this can be a real workout, let me tell you. And it isn't anything else really that's causing the problem other than these flipping bay leaves. To be honest, I think it's going to be easier for me to, let's get the juniper berries off. Juniper berries go kind of a little bit sticky. Now when you're burning incense, you have to be a little bit careful of juniper berries. They can spit, they get very hot and they can spit. And that's because of the oil in them, and they do create quite a bit of smoke. The same goes for pine needles. This has got pine needles in it from, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, from the New Forest. And like I say, that can also get quite heated and hot and spit. So I think that is about as much as I'm going to be able to get that done in there. And I didn't bring my spoon up. Usually I have a spoon that I do this with. I don't usually do it with my fingers. Oh, see, that smells lovely already, and that's before it's even got the pine in. The bay leaf really does mellow this out. Now, I don't want to use too much pine resin. That is probably enough that I put in there. And like I say, you freeze it first. And you will see, as you freeze it, it really does powder nicely. And I told you not to do that, and that's why, because as you can see now, it's sticking. So don't twist, only bounce. Okay. I do need my spoon, I really do. Oh dear. And that will go in there. And like I said, give it a few weeks and it will... The smell doesn't fade, it kind of mellows because it's really mingling well. And like I said, it's not cheap to make, but on the other hand, when you get a pinch of this, when you get a pinch of this and you burn it on a charcoal disc, and I actually use my charcoal discs completely different to how I used to. What I do now is light the charcoal disc in a censer or a heat-proof dish, and then leave it for a good 20 minutes. When the charcoal disc is ready, it will go almost white, like barbecue charcoal when you're making a barbecue. And then you put a pinch of just cover the top of it. You don't need a lot if it's this kind of incense. If it's ground up, then it is just a tiny pinch, but if it's just like this, yeah, then you put about a teaspoon on at the most, half a teaspoon maybe, and it'll last a good half an hour. The scent, it should last a good half an hour, but I think partly that is because of the resins that are in it. So I am going to have to go and get my spoon. Like I said, this one is very it's kind of pine tree forest, grassy, yeah, like, give you that burst of energy throughout Yule. That's one. This one, the Samhain one, the Halloween one, is warm and heady, and I think it'll knock your socks off. It's really lovely. It is one of my favourite ones, which is why there's a lot more of it. Saying that, there isn't that much more of it. So yes, that is my incense blends, and as I say, I do sell them in my store, or they will be in my store eventually. But like I say, when someone tells you don't make it way ahead of time because 3 months and it'll be gone, no, ignore that. Because I even use out-of-date tea that I've bought at the store, at the grocery store. I've got a lovely one which is cherry blossom and vanilla tea, and it's a loose tea. It's got cherry blossom flowers in it and all sorts, and that smells lovely, burnt as an incense. So yeah, it's a bit like when you blend oils. If you just blend them all together and then snip it, sometimes it's not that nice, but leave it a few weeks, and let it mingle and blend together. And that's the whole idea. It's a blend. It's not put together, it's not an instant thing. It's a blend. Let it blend, let it mingle, and it will, I promise you, it will smell so much better. And like I said, keep this out of direct sunlight. And you can do that just by wrapping paper around it. Like I said, this is an airtight jar as well. It will last years. Well, it won't last years because I'll use it way before then. But the scent won't degrade. It will just get better. It's like when you bake a Yule cake or a Christmas cake. Bake it 2 years ahead of time, and it just gets better and better and better. So there you go, something fresh and enlivening almost, but with a hint of warmness for Yule. And this one, like I said, it's heady and warm, and it's but then again, I love cinnamon and I love patchouli. But like I said, you know, it's got sage in it, and you don't think really cinnamon and sage as a combination. You're thinking, ooh. And this one, cinnamon again and bay, goes really well. And of course the hyssop. What else did I say was in there? No, in this one it's not hyssop. Hyssop is in the Samhain one. In this one it's juniper berries, mugwort. That's what's in there, mugwort. Right, I've waffled on enough. So I am going to go and get my spoon, clean all this out, get it in there, and then leave it to set up. And I'm going to make the oils. Now my oils are, basically I think I'm going to do a simplified version of each. So this, obviously it won't have cinnamon and clove and dragon's blood and hyssop and patchouli and rosemary and sage and a salt sort of element. It won't have all of that in the oil, but it will have elements of it so that it can match. So yeah, patchouli, dragon's blood, it'll be a heady mixture, and this will be more of a fresh floral sort of, yeah, a fresh floral sort of scent, I think. So there we go, that's it. Thank you for watching, witchy people. I'll be back soon. Bye for now.